Hi everyone, I hope you're having a great day and welcome to Adobe Creative Collabs. My name is Scott Hemmons and I'm joined today by the incredibly talented illustrator, none other than Mr. Gavin Campbell. Now, over the course of the next hour, Gavin is going to be creating an original artwork for us using some assets from Adobe Stock and based around one of our 2019 visual trends. Along the way, Gavin will be sharing some insights with you about his workflow and the things that inspire him the most. We've also got the chat open on YouTube, of course. So if you're watching live, please don't be shy. Use the chat to ask questions, and we'll pass those over to Gavin to answer them for you. So before we get into all of that, you and I, we've worked together, of course, before. But for everybody else's benefit, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, mate?
So I'm Gavin Campbell. I'm a freelance illustrator and designer. I've been doing this since the year 2000. So I'm not young, and I've been freelancing full time since about 2011. Yeah, so it's all good fun, and looking forward to getting stuck into the tutorial today.
Thanks, mate. Brilliant. So just going back to the challenge that we've set you today, of course, Gav. So we've tasked you with creating an original artwork using some assets from Adobe Stock, of course, and based around one of the 2019 visual trends. Now, I'm just going to give you guys a bit of background around the Adobe Stock visual trends before we get started. Okay. So the Adobe Stock team has looked around the world from fashion runways and art galleries to the business world, pop culture and social media, all with the goal of uncovering the major visual trends that will shape the year. So one of the trends that they uncovered for 2019 is called natural instincts. And this is the trend that Gavin is going to be using for inspiration for his illustration or masterpiece artwork that he's creating today for us. Now, this particular visual trend underlines the belief that we spend more and more of our lives in the digital realm, and we're feeling more and more isolated from the physical world, or the natural world, if you like. Now, as a result, consciously or subconsciously, we're looking to gain a balance through nature. So that's what this particular trend is all about. You can see hopefully an example behind me from this particular trend on Adobe Stock, and you can find out much more about our visual trends on our blog. Now, it's almost time for Gavin to get started on the challenge. So a question from me before you get going, mate, if that's all right. Sure. How did you go about interpreting this particular trend when you were thinking about what you were going to create today for us?
Well, for me, it's about how we use advertising to highlight the interaction between people and our natural surroundings. So that's the perspective that I went with for the work today. So yeah, that's it.
Sweet. All right. Thanks for that, mate. I think it's time to get down to business. So please take the reins and make something awesome for us.
Excellent.
No pressure at all.
Let's get stuck in then. So what I'm going to do is just do a little demonstration on how I find the stock assets in Photoshop. So obviously you can go to the web and use adobestock.com, but what I normally do is I go to libraries, the libraries tab here, and I just do a quick search for whatever I need. So for example,
it's a lot quicker, isn't it, mate, than going off to the website looking
quicker.
For something.
Yeah, much quicker.
You can just find exactly what you need right there in the apps.
Much quicker. So the first thing that I wanted to do was find an image of a female from a side view. So I just typed in woman side view, and once you found the asset that you need, you can license it here. And then if you have a folder open, an assets folder, which I already do, I've got a folder here called assets, I can just double click on that, license it, and it goes straight into the folder. So it's really, really handy. It saves a lot of time.
So you're saving that into your Creative Cloud library, is that,
yes.
Is that the thing?
And wherever I go, wherever I log in to any laptop, it will update automatically. So you can't really beat that. And
of course, if you were collaborating with somebody else, you can also share that library with them as well. Yeah,
it's amazing. You can create as many folders as you need with whatever assets you have. So it's very, very useful. So I actually spent some time going through some assets that I like, and I found a selection of images. We've got 8 images, 9 images here, and I'm just going to go ahead and double click on the first asset that I intend to use. Let's just move this to the side. So I'm going to start with this lady and zoom in a little bit. Okay. But I do forgive me, I'm a Mac and a PC man. Sometimes I use the wrong controls, but just bear with me. Oh. Okay, so.
I understand you're usually a graphics tablet man as well.
I am, yeah. I'm a tablet man, yeah.
We did have some technical difficulties before we started, and Gavin's very kindly now freestyling with the mouse.
As you do, yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and first of all separate this image from the background. Right. And let's just change the invert, and then I'll create a separate layer.
What do you think is the best way to mask off the background? How did you do that then?
Let me just go back. There's actually multiple ways of doing this, to be honest. I'll just go back. I use the old school way because I like to get my selections quite accurate.
Yeah.
So I'll just use the Magic Wand.
Or using Magic Wand.
Make sure I've got the right tolerance level. This is a roundabout, right? 25 is what I normally go with for something that has a clear background. And then I just select, hold Shift, select again. If you do get a poor selection, just go back. And I'll probably put it back on 32 actually. Let's try. Actually, let's go back again. Let's bring that down to 20. And just see how it looks. There. So that looks perfectly fine to
Looking
me.
good, mate, I'd say.
And then let's just invert the selection using Shift Command I, and I'm going to create a new layer using Command J.
You're a big keyboard shortcut man, aren't you?
I'm all about the keyboard.
You're a wizard.
I actually forget where the menus are, to be honest. I use so many keyboard shortcuts. And if you do get something that's not what you need, you can just delete that. So if I just get the brush up, make sure I've got black selected. So I press X to toggle between the colours there. Make sure I've got black for brush, and then just delete what I don't want using a layer mask there. Okay, and then you can apply the layer mask if you don't need to make any further changes. So that's the first step. Then I'm going to go back to my libraries folder, and what I'm actually going to do is a double exposure effect.
Okay.
So I'm actually merging two images together.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just got a little message just to speak up a little bit.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
maybe our mics aren't working as well as they should be possibly.
Okay. So I'm going to use a double exposure effect, and I'm going to merge this asset here with the lady. Okay. So if I drag this in to my main composition, hold down Shift and just resize a little bit, drag that across. Next, bring down the opacity so I can get the image in the right place where I want it. I think I'm going to put it round about there. Okay, round about there. Let's put the opacity back to 100. And I'm going to press Command on the female layer underneath to get a selection. Then I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to create a mask with that selection on the layer above. But before I do that, I'm just going to right click and rasterize that layer. Then hold down Shift and create a mask.
Oh wow.
Okay, so we've got that masked over here. Then I'm going to bring the quickly the lady above the landscape, and then I'm going to change her tone and mask her out. Then you get the dual effect. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So if I just press Command U.
So we're going for that kind of double exposure effect. Yeah.
Yes. Move that across, and let's just colorize it. Bring down the saturation a little bit, and then drag that across to about there.
So when obviously you started today straight away in Photoshop, finding all of your assets and whatnot, is that typically the way you'd work? Or
Yeah, sure, yeah.
You're not a pen and paper man, you're get straight into it.
To be honest, I used to be a pen and paper man, but I'm very comfortable with using the libraries panel and stock assets, so I normally just jump straight into it. And I usually work to a client brief, so I normally have a good idea of how I want to navigate. So I'm just going to create another mask on that female layer there, and let's get the brush up, increase the brush size, and make sure my brush is the right type. Okay, let's just turn off dynamics there, and bring down the opacity, and I'm gonna use black to mask out what I don't want from the lady. Okay, and then you'll see that we have what they call a double exposure effect. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that up a bit more, mask it out some more. Okay, let's bring that down a bit.
So just while you're doing that, mate, if it's all right.
Sure.
I know you've worked with some big brands in your career.
Yep.
And you were talking about working to a client brief just now. Hopefully we've got some younger aspiring illustrators and designers watching. Do you have any particular advice, or maybe if I put it another way, if you had a time machine and you could go back and give the younger Gavin 3 bits of advice relating to your career, what might those 3 pieces of advice be?
The first advice I'd give myself is make sure you study marketing to a degree, online marketing. How to get yourself out there and exposed. It's for me, I've always said this, I've never been the best at what I do, but I always found ways to kind of get myself in a position to be seen by ad agencies or direct with clients. So online marketing is key. For example, putting your portfolios on various sites like Behance, but not just putting a portfolio on the site. It's about being active on that site, because the algorithm works in a way that you will be well ranked on Behance, for example, if you interact well with your followers and you like a lot of posts and make comments. So that really helped me to get a lot of exposure.
Sweet.
So yeah, let me just go ahead and save this in a folder. Okay, on the desktop. So let's just call this lady.psd. So that's the first step there. We've got a slight exposure going on here. What I'm going to do now is go back to the libraries panel, and I'm going to open up this set of inks, because we're going to go for an abstract thing today. And I'm going to separate each of these onto a new layer, and I'm going to change the tone of the of each image. So I'm just going to copy that, create a new layer. Okay, let's just wait for this. And then let's paste that in, close that down, hide the background, and I'm going to go ahead and use the magic wand tool to select the outside of the layer. If I go to select similar, it will highlight other areas in there I can delete. But then if I press Q and then B for brush, I can then make it 100%, make sure it's 100%. I can then take out some of the areas that I don't really want to mask off. So there's certain areas I want to take out and certain I want to keep. So using Q, which is Q for quick mask, it just gives you a bit more control over your mask and what elements you want to keep or get rid of. So once I've done that, and that looks, in fact, let me just get these last bits out. Okay, let's press Q again and then go to select and mask, just to refine the mask slightly. I'm going to shift the edge up a little bit more, add some feathering to make the edges of the mask smoother, because normally if you just use the magic wand tool as it is, it gives you a hard edge. So let's add some feather and some smoothing. See how that looks. So let's just delete that. Now it looks good to me. Okay.
Looking good.
Then I'm going to go to the camera raw filter, which I always use for changing the tone and hue of images. I'm going to reduce the saturation down on here slightly and add some more black to the black areas and some more shadows, just to give it some more depth. And then I'm going to change the tint. Okay, let's change the tint. Let's bring that down and bring that up. Okay. I'm just going to play around with it to get the right levels here. Okay. and then go to this panel here, which allows you to adjust the colors even further. And then I'm just going to play with the greens until I've got something that looks more accurate to. Okay, so let's keep that as it is there.
So you mentioned Behance just now.
Yeah.
It's obviously a good place to go and look for inspiration and that kind of thing. Aside from Adobe Stock as well, where else do you look for inspiration in your work?
I generally follow, there are certain artists that I've followed for years, to be honest. I used to subscribe to the Adobe Photoshop magazine that came out.
Oh, okay.
And there's a number of artists that I've been following for years, like Pete Harrison. He's a great UK designer, and he introduced me to the idea of lighting effects. So,
okay.
yeah, I follow these guys on social media, on Instagram and whatnot, Twitter. And yeah, but Behance is my main point of call, to be honest.
Okay.
I've always used that since, gosh, since its inception almost, like 2008, I think, just before Adobe acquired it.
Right, you were an early adopter.
Yeah, definitely. That was the place to be. So, yeah.
So yeah, I was looking at your Behance the other day actually, and I was trying to think of ways to describe your style because it's very, very distinctive. And I came up with kind of neon, hyperreal, and swooshy.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that description.
How would you hit the nail on the head? That pretty much
is that what you were going for?
Yeah, I normally say, you know, I'm the lighting effects guy. Whatever I create, I try to incorporate that into my style. So yeah, that's a fair assessment. It's a fair assessment. I'm gonna now once I've got the image where I want in terms of the hue and saturation, I normally just save my settings here, so I can use it on the other assets that I'm gonna create. So if I just save that as ink in my settings folder, and then press OK.
Oh, okay.
I might make a change to it again, but for now, if I go back to this main image and I paste in that layer, and then let's rotate, I'm going to put these ink layers behind her hair, or where her hair should be. I'm going to build it up from there. So I will have a little play around and just modify the image as I go. Okay. But it's going to be rinse and repeat all the way through. So if I go back to this image here, I'm going to take each asset and do the same thing and try and speed it up. So let's just quickly select that, copy that onto a new layer. Okay, let's just hide that, select it, select similar. Let's just mask out what I don't want again.
So we're just kind of going through the same process that we did for the other.
Yeah, yeah. I'll probably take maybe 4 of these. I won't use every single image on the inks page, but I'm just going to keep it like that. That looks good to me. And let's go to select a mask. Let's increase the shift edge, add some feathering and some smoothing. Press OK. And that looks good to me. Let's go to the camera raw filter. Let's load up those default settings.
So while you're just loading that setting that you created that earlier, right? So I was asking you about Behance, but there's also we've got some questions on the channel about Behance as well.
Okay.
So do you mind explaining to our viewers a bit about how you use Behance and what it's for?
I use Behance to get noticed, funnily enough, by Adobe. The guy that actually found me for the first event that I spoke at was through Behance.
Oh, okay.
He must have typed in lighting effects or something to that effect, and I came up. But I use it for exposure to get hired by agencies, whether it was in the UK or the US. And yeah, it's been a great tool. Not so much for the social side of it, but definitely for the agencies, because I used to get emails from companies years ago telling me that they found me on Behance.
Oh, okay.
And that's where they look for aspiring artists.
So you could kind of describe it as a way to be discovered, but also discover as well, because you can use it as an artist. You can use it for inspiration as well.
100%.
And then your prospective clients will use it to discover you at the same time.
Yeah, that's how I use it. I use it for inspiration and to be found. And I've got quite a few friends in the industry who do the same thing. To this day, they still use Behance to get noticed. So yeah, I think it's a great tool. And also, if you do have a Creative Cloud account, you get the portfolio with it. So that's great.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a great tool. So I'm just gonna have a play about with these layers and just duplicate, rinse and repeat. I've put them in a layer, by the way. I've just made a group for these ink assets. And I'm just gonna keep toying with this until I get something.
So you just flipped that guy real quick then, didn't you?
Yeah, I flip it, move it around until I get what I feel looks right. Let me just save that again. Go back to the main image. Let's select this one here. And copy and paste that, into a new layer. Okay. I'm not one for naming layers, by the way. I know it's just... If I was collaborating with someone, I would.
Of course you would.
But when you're just freestyle an image, you just go with it. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to run with it. So select similar again. Let's see how it looks on the mask. That's not too bad.
There are lots of memes, aren't there, about different types of designers that name
Yeah.
layers and don't name layers.
Yeah, listen, I'm the lazy guy. I just go with the flow, and whatever comes, comes. So I don't think I'll name a single layer today.
I respect that.
Yeah, you gotta respect it. So let's keep it as that there. That's a good selection. Let's go back to the camera raw filter. Load that. Ink setting. Okay, that's not bad. Let's take out the saturation a little bit. Okay. I also use Command U sometimes as a quick edit for colorizing or changing the hue. I don't always use camera raw.
Okay. Well, yeah, please share your shortcuts with us as you're using them.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So Command A, Command C, and then let's go back, and then Control Tab, back to the main image. Let's paste that in. Now these selections are not perfect, but for this type of image, it's not imperative that I make perfect selections. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this at the bottom of that layer here, and then Command T, right click, horizontal. Let's kind of place that here, or maybe on top. See how it looks, maybe underneath, down here, like that. Okay, rinse and repeat again. Hold down Option, let's copy that. And then put that down here, underneath. In fact, I'll take that out of the group and put it underneath the lady there. I'm going to create a flow that goes all the way around. Okay?
Nice.
Okay, so let's go back to this image here. Let's take this ink here, copy it onto a new layer. Okay. Paste that in. Delete the background. Let's right click. Select similar, see if it finds any more white areas.
So you obviously enjoy what you're doing. We can all see that. What would you say is the best thing about being an illustrator?
Get to make pretty pictures for a living.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I get to create what I enjoy and get paid for it.
It's your passion, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you get paid as well.
Before I was an illustrator, digitally, I was a traditional artist. So I used to use pen and pencil. Back in the old days, before we had internet, I used to paint, and it was quite photorealistic, and that's kind of how I hone my skills. So
that's where that style comes
yeah,
from.
we used to do life drawing back in the A-level days.
I remember that, mate.
Yeah, life drawing when we had a nice old lady that we used to sit and look at for an hour, with all her assets. But yeah,
I think we should leave it there.
Yeah. But it was good fun though. Good fun. It was good fun. But,
yeah, no, I definitely remember that as well from A-level art.
Yeah, and then in the early 2000s, I moved into the digital space, and I haven't looked back, to be honest, because it's so much easier to sketch in Illustrator, for example, and use vectors as opposed to pencil and paper rubbing it out. Even Photoshop, the pencil tool, the brushes, fantastic. So
have you tried Adobe Fresco yet? I know it's
I've had a dabble.
Very recently released.
Yeah, I only recently found out about it.
I think it only came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I had a dabble. It looks great. Any guys who are into more hands-on illustration, I think it's fantastic.
So yeah, for you guys watching, we've got a brand new drawing and painting tool called Adobe Fresco.
Yeah.
So you can download that and try it out on your iPad.
Yeah, if you're into natural media, I think that's great.
Yeah.
For doing like portraits and stuff, yeah, that's the one. Let's put that in a layer there, and then let's flip it around, and then let's change the hue a bit. Let's bring down the saturation slightly. Let's change the hue a little there, and the levels. Okay, just going to repeat that again to add some more depth. In fact, let's keep that on top there, and then let's flip it horizontally like that. Have a play. And to be honest, I just work off instinct a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't say you had this in your mind's eye before you started.
It's all instinctive.
What looks and feels good.
Yeah, what looks and feels good. Yeah. I tend to, if I think too hard about things, it doesn't normally work out right. So I normally just let go and just.
So I asked you just now, what was the best thing about being an illustrator? What's the hardest thing, mate?
The hardest thing for me is pricing clients. It always has been.
Okay.
When I had an agent in America, actually I've got an agent in Holland and Germany, best agent I've had. And the way they price, I don't have the confidence to price that high, to be honest and transparent.
Don't sell yourself short, mate.
Nah, the pricing is just phenomenal. I did a talk for Adobe about 4 years ago, and I spoke about how all I had to do was create a swoosh. I wasn't creating the advert, just the swoosh on the screen. So it didn't take me all day to create the swoosh. I got paid well for it though. I got a couple of weeks' wages out of that just for a swoosh.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's good money if you can get it then.
If you can get it, yeah. And that's, I mean, like I say, get the right agent. They can work wonders for you. And also try and find an agent that works exclusively with a small group of illustrators, as opposed to agents that might have like a roster of 200 or 300 designers or illustrators. The less the better, because they can concentrate more on you.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to take out some of the white on some of these images here. Let's invert that. Okay.
Yeah, talk us through it, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just building this up. Let me just see. If I just rotate this around and put that at the back underneath here, see how it looks. Add a bit of depth. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's flip it horizontally and maybe have it over here. Maybe over here. And then let's lighten that layer there. And then let's darken this layer here. So Control L, I just go to the highlights panel and I just play with the highlights and shadows just to see how it feels. Let's move that back a bit there, like that. Okay, so let's add some more depth to this image here. There. Like that. And then just take out some of the saturation. Like that. Okay. And I'm going to take this piece here. In fact, not that one there. Let's take this one here. and just quickly chop that. And I think that'll be it. I'll just use what I've got for the rest of the composition.
So we've got another question that's just come through.
All right.
So somebody's asking, do you need a good PC or Mac to be able to do this, to work as you're working here?
Well, when I got my iMac, it's an i5 quad core. I put 32 gig of RAM in there about 5 years ago. And as a designer, I don't think you need any more than that, to be fair. So yeah, an i5, i7. The graphics card's only really necessary when you're doing animation or video, you know, a top spec graphics card, which I've got because I do some 3D work and video work. But if you're just doing 2D work, a standard 2 or 4 gig graphics card would be great.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, 16 gig of RAM does the job.
Yeah.
For Photoshop. Yeah, you got
check the minimum requirements as well on the Adobe website for, you know, whichever tool you're interested in, like Photoshop, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the spec that I've got will be good for years to come, to be honest. Okay, so let's do this selection. Let's get this last one done. Increase the shift, add the feather, up the smoothing. Oh, let's go back. And let's chop that. Go to camera raw. Load the settings. And let's play with it. So let's add some more black to that. Bring the saturation down a little bit. In fact, let me just copy it into the image so I can see how it looks. Let's copy that. Let's paste it in. Put it into the group. And then let's just see. Okay. Let's put it inside somewhere in there. And then let's play with the highlights, and then let's bring the saturation down a bit. Bring it down a bit more, actually bring it up. Change the hue slightly. Have it about there. Let's bring this one down slightly. Let's just select that. And then modify, I think it's expand. Oh, no, let's go back, let's contract it. Select and contract by 5 pixels. And then let's just delete some of the white. Layer 6, same thing. Let's just hold down Command. Select, contract by 5 pixels, invert it, and then delete. And then let's just move this across here, move that across there, like that. And then for this layer, I'm going to duplicate that, put that on top, and then I'm going to flip it around. Actually, let's keep it this way. Let's keep it like that. Let's create a mask, and then let's just take out what I don't want. Bring down the opacity. And then just mask it out so that we delete the edge here. Okay.
So you're using the brush tool there to remove parts of the mask, right?
So the rule is black hides, white reveals. We never use a mask. So it's black or white. Black hides the image, white reveals. And then
so you can blend it in really nicely.
Yeah, blend it in. Just blend it a bit more.
So you were talking earlier about working with some of your clients, like Adobe, of course. So
yeah.
Aside from Adobe, I mean, what's been the highlight of your career, apart from, of course, being here today?
I would say working for Microsoft in Cannes. So you've got the film festival, right? And at the same venue, it's normally like the week after the film festival, they've got the advertising festival. So all the big advertising firms are there for a big, massive, giant festival, and it's great. So we had a big marquee by the beach, and Microsoft had a big open marquee, and we were doing kind of live interactions with the audience where I create an image on Photoshop and use the puppet tool to animate. It was really good fun. But
Wow.
Cannes itself was a great place. You had celebrities walking around. They had Kim Kardashian and Kanye West and
Oh, you were right at home then, mate.
right at home, as you do, yeah. No, but they had I met the magician Dynamo there. He was there. Patrick Stewart from X-Men.
Oh, wow.
Walking up and down. It was a surreal experience, to be honest with you. But in Cannes, what's funny is you don't really have a lot of, what I'd say, groupies. You don't really have people chasing celebrities because it's a wealthy area. So when they were walking around, you almost wouldn't notice them because
Yeah.
you didn't have like paparazzi following them or anything like that. It was really strange.
Oh, wow. What a great experience.
Cannes, yeah, it was a great experience. And then we got everything for free because I was working for the guys at Microsoft. It was great fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great fun. I would do it again, I would. So let's just finish this off now. In terms of the blending. So, I'm just going to blend this out, and then, once I've done that, I'm going to take the original mask that we had, move it on top of the group layer, there, like that, and then I'm going to mask it further just to blend it in. So
you've got everything in place, now you're just starting to
yeah,
sort of blend things together, if you like.
yeah, that's it. So let's just make sure I've got the right brush selected. Yeah. Increase the brush size, and let's just take that away, just to give it more of a blend. You can see there. And then let's put her eyes and nose back in, the main features there. Put the eyebrows back in, like that. Let's take this out, the hard edge here. And then, okay. Actually, there's another asset I want to include that I should have done from the start. Let me just save this, go back to our libraries panel.
Okay.
Now I'm going to get this hand, because I want the hand to be facing her like she's holding something or looking at something. So I'm going to drag this hand in, this hand that I got. Let's reduce the size of that. Rotate.
So you've got somebody else's hand, you're just going to comp that on the
Yep,
top.
yep. Hold down Shift. Photoshop's changed. So you used to be able to just resize freely, but now I have to hold down Shift to resize it freehand. Otherwise it'll do it in proportion.
Yeah, yeah.
So for us old school guys, that's...
I think it's caught a few people out, to be fair.
Yeah, so...
I'm sure we'll get used to it.
So let me just position this right. Okay, so let me just bring this down. That's not actually the right proportion. Increase the size of that. Put that there. To get this right. Make it a little bit bigger. That's about there.
So when you're working with your clients, would you prefer to work on site, or are you a kind of work from home guy? What works for
I've
you?
always done a bit of both. However, I do prefer to work from home. Simply because I usually work late. I usually work at night time, so it actually works better for me. My creative juices flow at night time.
You're a night owl?
Yeah, I'm a night owl.
I'm the other way around, see.
You're the way around, yeah.
I'm an early bird.
Okay, okay. So yeah, let me just take
You get more done at home as well, right?
Yeah,
Potentially.
I agree, 100%.
Work-life balance and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
100%. 100%. I'm just going to create the mask again on the hand. So I'm going to bring that same layer in, and then bring the opacity down, put it in roughly the same place as where it was,
Okay.
just to mask out the hand. And then I'm going to select the hand and then create a mask on that layer. So let's just rasterize it and hold down Shift, create the mask, and then okay, increase the opacity. Let's just take this out down here, or move it down a little bit. Just move that down slightly. about there. Save that. And then I'm going to keep it as it is. Now, let's just go back and look at the layers behind. So, let's put some more assets in here. So, I've got some smoke, I've got a palm tree. But before I do that, I'm going to add some light effects. So, I'm going to create a new layer here, close this group. And now, I'm just going to get a brush. Let's choose a colour, like a yellow. Some yellows and greens. I'm just going to get that and literally just paint on top and then create a layer blend. Usually color dodge works. As you can see, it just highlights. You see, so I'm gonna play around with this and just put some highlights on the hair to add some more depth and texture and change the hue as well. So I've got one there. I'm gonna put one over here. Go to Command U. Let's make that kind of a reddish or a purple. Let's duplicate again.
Just while you were moving that around there, I just wondered, do you ever do any animation with After Effects, for instance?
Yeah, I do. I've done quite a bit of animation, but mainly for video purposes.
Motion graphics and things like that?
Yeah, I have, yeah. Not an expert at it, but I've done quite a bit of that.
Okay.
I have.
Open to offers then?
Yeah, I am, yeah. Definitely. After Effects is a great piece of software. Nothing rivals it. Let me just mask that out there. Okay.
When I asked you about the highlight of your career earlier, you were talking about meeting Kim Kardashian and Kanye West at Cannes. I was a little bit surprised because a little bird told me that you actually designed the original logo for the 90s TV series Gladiator.
Come on now.
Is that true?
Gladiators fans, if you're watching live, just put in there because it was one of the best TV shows out.
And you designed the logo, right?
I actually designed a remake of the logo. So we were rejigging the logo.
Like a rebrand?
Yeah, like a rebrand, and I had to help with that. That was actually my first big client, to be fair.
That's incredible.
It was my first big client. I just put up my portfolios on Behance and other creative sites, and agency found me. They called me about 7 in the evening. They said, we've got a job, but we're going to be working until 7 the next morning. Are you up for it? I said, yeah. So we stayed up the whole night doing the job.
Wow.
And I had work the next morning for the company I was working for, the design company. So it was all good fun.
So I think Gladiators was nothing short than of a cultural phenomenon, wasn't it?
Yeah,
when it came out in the 90s, everyone would literally stop what they were doing on a Saturday night to watch these guys beating each other up.
Yeah. I actually went to the NIA where they filmed it and watched a few shows live.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Who's your favourite Gladiator?
Storm. I'm thinking now. I remember Storm. I don't know about yourself, but
I was going to say Wolfman.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. He was the crazy guy. Yeah. All good fun. But that was my big first client, and it went into the Sun newspaper the next day. So
our cameraman's nodding, but I think the younger people watching have no idea what we're talking about. So.
Google it. Gladiators TV show.
Gladiators.
There's nothing actually like it right now. There's nothing like it in terms of UK TV and you know. Back in the day, we had Games Master, we had Gladiators TV show.
They don't make them like that.
There's nothing
anymore.
like it anymore, is there? There's nothing like it. Yeah, they're missing out, these young ones. Missing out.
Bring back Gladiators.
Yeah, come on. So yeah, I've done that. I've added a few highlights. Now, what I intend to do is, let's bring in this palm tree image. I'm just going to mask it out and add it to her face. So let's just flip it over. And then reduce it down. I have to remember now with Photoshop, the last year, I can't press shift on a resize, it automatically resizes. So I was just pressing shift there.
Okay.
But you have to release it now, for the old school guys. So just bring that down again.
It's not like anybody's watching, don't worry.
Nah, of course not, I mean, I'm on my own, yeah. So let's just mask out this layer, what I don't want of it. In fact, let's flip it over again, I want that on the other side. In fact, no, leave it where it is. Let's just mask out what I don't want. I'm just going to add a bit of depth to this. Put this palm tree in, as it's a similar exposure to what we've already got. Let's put it somewhere here. Make the brush a bit smaller. Okay. Let's just add that in there. Add a bit of depth to it. Let's just rasterize it. Add some more depth to it, like that. Okay, let's put it around about there. Bring the opacity down just a little bit. Okay. So, I'm going to go back and just add some more depth here and there to the elements, just to add some more gravitas to the ink. Let's go back and edit. Right click, highlights, more depth here. Just makes the ink stand out some more. Okay. This element here, let's add some more depth to that here as well. Okay. And now I'm going to save that. Go back to my libraries panel. I'm going to take this set of birds, drag it in, put this layer on top. Okay, let's put that on top. Let's resize it down. Now I'm going to incorporate the birds almost as if they're freckles on her face. I'm kind of going with this abstract theme. Let's add a layer blend, and I think dark color will be fine. And just put it there on her cheek. Let's lower the opacity just slightly. There. Let's keep that there like that. Okay, how are we looking? Okay. Okay. Right, and then I'm going to go back to my libraries panel. I'm going to take this hummingbird and let's just create a quick selection and delete what I don't need. Let's rasterize that first and foremost. Okay. Let's rasterize that, delete that, magic wand, delete what I don't need, and then I'm just going to reduce the size of the hummingbird and put that just in front of her hand.
So I think one of our viewers was asking about how you were using the color balance earlier and blending the cloudy elements in.
Color balance. Let's just move that across. So let's gather my thoughts. Color balance. I'm assuming they're referring to the lighting effects, or maybe it's the...
Yeah, maybe.
Let me just demonstrate again. So my light layers are all here. Let me just group those actually. Right, so they're in a group here. As I said, for me, the best way to do lighting effects is get a brush, just dab it a few times. And let's do it again. Choose a color. Let's choose maybe a purple, maybe a neon. Let's just dab it a few times. Actually, it's already on color dodge. Let's take the blend mode off. So you've got a normal brush here. Looks very flat as it is. And then just add some color dodge. But it only works when you do it on top of a layer. If you do it on a white background, of course you won't see anything. As you can see, it adds a bit of warmth to the way the sun reflects down there.
Yeah.
Let's duplicate that again, add it down here again. And yeah, just rinse and repeat until you get comfortable. Let's bring the opacity down to that slightly. There, and okay. Okay, let's just select that layer there, move that across slightly. And I'm going to mask off some of the areas that I don't want. So let's just take that out. And this layer here, layer 7 or layer 5, yeah, layer 5. Let's create a mask there and take out what I don't want, just to smooth it out a little bit. Okay, save that. Go back to my libraries panel, and I'm just going to bring in this smoke layer just to add some more depth again to the image. Let's put this on top of all of the groups that we have, and let's go to probably going to be soft light maybe. Let's see how it looks. Maybe soft light. Yeah, let's keep it a soft light. And then reduce the size slightly. And then this just adds more atmosphere to the image. So again, get my brush, make sure I've got black selected, and delete what I don't want. And then you'll be left with, ideally, some more atmosphere. Very subtle, but it does make a difference. So let's just see. So maybe around about here, and then just mask off the edges. Sometimes I duplicate it just to see it adds more depth again to her hair. So, and then reduce that down a little bit. Group it, and then just delete it to see the difference. So it adds a bit more depth there, as you can see, and even maybe bring it across. In fact, let me just move some of these layers around and see how I feel about it. That might look better there.
It's looking fantastic, mate.
Interesting.
So I think we've got about 5 minutes left.
Right, okay, we're good to go. Let me just bring in the last of my assets. I'm going to bring this one in.
So I think you can still take your time.
Okay. I'm going to take...
This is that swooshy that I was talking about.
This is the type of effect that I would actually create, but I'll do it manually, to be fair.
And charge for it as well.
And charge for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could just use Adobe Stock and save yourself a lot of time and
Of
effort.
course you can. And still charge for it, right?
And still charge for it.
You just manipulate it and charge for it as if you've done it yourself. Yeah, of course you would. Yep, so let's delete that. Okay, let me just hide that. In fact, what I normally do is let me just take that. I normally actually, to save time, I keep a layer at the bottom just in case I need it. So I've got the original layers at the bottom of my panel just in case I need them. Let me just select that now. Go around, and then let's invert, delete, and let's take out the black using a color dodge or screen. Screen is the one. Keep it on top, and let's reduce that, flip it around, and I'm going to make it look as if it's just, as if it's a strand of hair coming down. Maybe. Let's flip it around a little bit, stretch it out. Like that. Okay. Let's keep it around about here. Like that. And just rotate that around. Okay. Bring it back a little bit. Rotate it a bit. I'll say about there. And let's get one more strand. So if I bring this to the top again, and if I take maybe this one here and separate that, I could just Command J and just select it like that. Let's take out the black on the image using screen, rotate that around.
So you were just quickly toggling through the blend modes there, weren't you?
Yeah, toggle through the blend modes, and then let's add that to that, and then let me just mask off. So
you get a preview as well with the blend modes now as well, don't you? As you're going through them, it used to be that you had to select the blend mode and then sort of commit to it and then go back. But now you can get a really quick preview.
It's actually great. I prefer it this way. It saves a lot of time. Save a lot of time doing that.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's move that one across slightly. It's about there. And then mask off what I don't need. Let's take that out. Take that out there. So where are we here? So we're almost there.
Did you have something in mind for the background where we've got those transparent pixels?
Yeah, I'm just going to add a background to it. Very simple. So let's just press save on that.
Saving the big trick for the end.
Yeah. So if I select maybe, I like a creamy colour from the image, and then use that as the background. So I just pressed Option Backspace, and then I'm gonna just brighten it a little bit, not too much, but just to complement the colours in the image.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll just zoom out a little bit. And I want to maybe brighten this item here. Let's just add some highlight to it. Actually. Yeah, just add some highlight to it there.
Looking good, mate.
Yeah, and then just move this across. Like that. And I think those are all the assets implemented. Yeah, everything's in.
Spot on.
And I would normally just play around with the layers and
Yeah.
maybe move it around and blend out some assets, but this is pretty much what I would go with a typical workflow.
Yep. Well, we're actually just about out of time,
Okay.
but this was really, really interesting to see you creating this for us live today. And thanks so much for sharing your tips and tricks there and insights into your workflow and your career. I hope everybody else really enjoyed it. We're back again next week, same time, same place. Not with Gavin, but we'll have another creative to run the creative collab session. But yeah, thanks again, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been good fun.
And we'll see you same time next week.